Today I really want to reach out and acknowledge my dyslexic, ADHD, autistic, neurodiverse people that listen, that follow. If you are one of those amazing people, I want to definitely speak to you today in particular because today I am definitely feeling like one of your tribe and a big part of that. And I thank you for being my people and being around and participating in this. And why I'm feeling that way in particular is because, as you might know, or maybe you've experienced, from years of masking and hiding and working to fit in and assimilate in a variety of environments, particularly for careers and so forth. Anyways, I used to stuff down a lot of who I was, how my neurology worked, just me. And years now, I've stopped masking for years now. I get to just be authentically me all the time. And so I forget sometimes that I'm even in environments that I should probably mask and make people more comfortable, and I don't care much anymore. I am reminded, though, from time to time, of how far we have come and also how far we have yet to go as a society in embracing our different thinkers and as supporting and engaging them. So what brought this to the forefront and what really hit me hard was a combination of two things. One was a conversation I had recently after doing a speaking engagement where a gentleman came up and asked me very calmly, he was a teacher, and he said, I know I've seen these students. He goes, as you're speaking and talking about how school was very traumatic for you and left an imprint on you in a very negative way, he's like, I just don't quite get that. Like, that has not been my experience. Obviously, he thrived in school very well, very gifted. I could tell he was gifted and smart. And school worked with his brain, so he flourished. It was a great place for him. And so we talked for a while. And I'll come back to him because I came across a document. It's fabulous. It is from Decoding Dyslexia. Great website. Each state has their own particular website. This one came from the Decoding Dyslexia Minnesota. It is about supporting parents to be the best advocates and to understand the schooling system and to understand how to keep track of that. Anyways, I had a copy of their binder that they give parents, and I was cleaning stuff. I was going to throw this out. I saw it. I paged through it, and I came across potential accommodations. This is 3 pages front to back. And I thought, well, that looks interesting, right? Let me read a couple of these to you. Recess, special events, or rewards cannot be withheld for academic or punitive or discipline reasons, including missed work or goals, unless it is withheld for the entire class. That alone left me speechless. Student will not be held in from lunch, gym, or specials to complete an incomplete task unless it is student or parent requested. And then there's this one. Student will not be held in from recess to complete work. That is part of potential accommodations in an IEP, and I thought, people have to be told this? This doesn't seem like common sense to not take recess away from a 7-year-old and to not take away lunch, right? Student will not be held from lunch. Really? Eating? I'll give you a hint. The brain doesn't work well when we take those away. But I won't get into the semantics of that. Why that hit me fairly hard and brought back a lot of emotions from my childhood and from my schooling, and it reminded me, I don't talk about it a ton, but it reminded me of the shadow that does not follow us, but is a little part of us, and the experiences that we have had. And there are times when some of that things come along, like this document, that ping us and remind us, oh yeah, that wasn't the best feeling, that wasn't the best time, that was challenging. And it reminds me where I'm at now to reflect on that, to appreciate that I am not in those environments anymore, and to also understand that there are tons, if this is still in a document that's years later from when I was first diagnosed, that tells me there's how many adults have come out of this same system and experienced all of those things. And now they're trying to navigate the adult world and wondering why it's not making sense and why they're not fitting in and why it's so dang hard. Well, I'll give you a hint. It's not just your neurodiversity. It's not just that you are dyslexic and you are wired differently, or you have ADHD, or you've got a buffet like I do. It's not just that. It's also that we lived and grew up in environments that told us play was negotiable. Recess and food. I was taught food was actually negotiable. It could happen after I was productive, not before. It could be taken away if I wasn't good enough, if I didn't finish my assignments, if I didn't do everything just right. When you step back and look at it, that travels into adulthood. And I see clients that don't eat properly. I see clients that skip having fun and work really hard. And they're like, where did I get this belief? I'll give you a hint. It came from spaces that you spent 12 years in, 12 foundational years in, that by their actions told you that certain things were more important than other things, like food. So, you're not alone if every once in a while a video or a document or a person taps your shoulder and kind of, reminds you of some of the spaces you've been and some of the feelings that you might have had in the past. And I also remind you that all of that can be shifted, all of that can be moved forward, and an incredible, vibrant life can lay out before you. It does need to be addressed, though. You do need to understand that you have built up some of these beliefs. And so for the teacher, I'll swing back around to that story, for the teacher that was asking me about not understanding, why there could be some trauma, I was searching for a metaphor for him to help find a spot in his life where maybe he tried something and it wasn't extremely successful. And luckily, he had tried to be in band. And he did that for 2 years. And then he stopped because he's like, I just couldn't get it. I was always the last chair. I never moved up. I practiced and I never really got ahead. So he goes, I wasn't going to keep doing that. And I went, that is a perfect example. I said, you got to quit. I said, for someone with ADHD, for someone with dyslexia, I said, just because school's uncomfortable, just because it's not working, we don't get to quit. I'm like, that's not an option. We got to keep going back every day. So I'm like, imagine you had to keep going back to band until you graduated, even though you were not doing well, even though you were always last chair, even though it was really hard. And then I let him think. And he was like, wow, that would have been awful. And I'm like, yeah. I said, so that's why, as adults, part of moving forward is embracing that differently wired brain, and another part of it is healing some of the baggage that came from that environment and came from those spaces. I have done a lot of work on that, and I love helping people work through that because it's pretty incredible what's on the other side. But you do have to take a little bit of time to acknowledge you're wired a little differently, and how do you need to work with the world with that different wiring? I'm Coach Joy Gina, unconventional leadership coach and international neurodiversity coach. And if you can't tell, a bit of a different thinker. And I am championing you. If you love this video, please pass it on. If it resonated with you, again, please like it. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And I would love your comments and feedback. That really helps me to come up with topics to just make this engaging. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to sharing some other insights next week.